pedestrians. It might be an attractive gateway to a community, so it has that function. A street could even function as an open space for people, particularly in a downtown area. It could become kind of a place to hang out. So those are just some general urban design ideas. Some of the criticisms you'll hear of smart growth and new urbanism, and I mean you'll hear criticism of smart growth even on, say, talk radio and that kind of thing. It's another form of social engineering. You'll hear that a lot. I think a lot of things kind of flirt with social engineering to some extent, whether we want to admit it or not. People don't want to live in dense areas. That's another criticism. Cars are the reality, so you might try to design it for people and pedestrians, but people still need to get around in cars. And that's the end of, those are my slides on urban design. If you have any questions or comments or anything you want to discuss, is there any other information?
Where does that fit into our current plan, master plan?
That's a good question. There's nothing in their scope, the scope of the consultant, or what's listed that says we're going to address these issues. But I think that you'll hear some of these themes might come up in discussions. So, like when one of the elements that we asked them to address when we sent out an RFP was community design. Community design might get at things like how wide should the sidewalks be in downtown? Should we allow buildings to, or should we require buildings to be within 5 feet of sidewalk or at the sidewalk? Should parking be required to be behind the building or to the side of the building? So I think when you start talking about community design issues, you really get into this. And you really get into it when you start talking about a land development code to implement the plan. And that's what we anticipate, is that there's going to be some code amendments or a major rewrite once the comp plan, the new comp plan is adopted, and it calls for that. You get a lot of conflicts in some of these things. So in my experience, what I've seen a lot of conflict in is you might have a comprehensive plan, and there's a lot of community involvement, and out of that comprehensive plan, there's a lot of drive to have more walkable places, have more attractive places, and one way to get that is to say, don't allow any parking in front of the entrance to a building. So it's more pedestrian oriented, so it is more attractive to the street. Most retailers, well, like most grocery stores, will not build a grocery store unless they have parking in front of the building. They just won't do it. So in reality, it can be hard to pull off, and so you get those discussions will happen, and hopefully they happen when you're developing the policy rather than when you're trying to write code to implement the policy.
What is our general concept right now for the city?
The community development plan doesn't really address this very much, and that's partly just because I think the size of the city when it was done. I think one thing I've noticed in the plan is it does encourage commercial nodes, so it does encourage dispersal of commercial uses. I think it even encourages neighborhood retail, like grocery stores at some intersections, say to the north. And I could get this wrong. I could have this wrong, but say at 167th and Center Street.
It does encourage commercial?
Yeah, I think it does. I know. I just remember that. I'm just going off memory. Well, that's kind of following the concept of having things less concentrated in one area, having them closer to where people live. So it does address some of those ideas, but it's not explicit. It's not overt. So I think that the plan, it's not really clear where the plan stands on all these things. I don't know if it has to be, honestly. I think I've seen plans that were very, okay, this plan is all about environmental sustainability, or it's all about, this idea, and that's not necessarily what the majority of people want. They just want something that works. All right, I'll turn it over to
Thank you. Now we get to talk about our existing codes, plans, and regulations. I'm Michelle Leiniger, the planning manager. First, we're going to talk about the comprehensive plan. All of this is going to be kind of an overview. I don't want to throw details upon details about all these plans and regulations to you. You're going to glaze over and everything's going to smash together. So I'm going to do basically an overview. If you have any questions about any section, please stop me. If you want to follow along in your binder, that's fine too. Our current comprehensive plan is a Gardner Community Plan. What is the plan? This is all a lot right out of the introductory section of the comprehensive plan. It's a plan for the city of Gardner. It's a policy plan that guides development, future development, and redevelopment, both in text and map form, based on the city's vision for the future. How is it used? Again, I said it was a policy guide. Really, it's the foundation for all different types of regulations and other standards that are implemented in the community. Who uses the plan? Well, the general public, property owners, citizens, developers. Gives them an idea of how the city is anticipated to grow, what uses are to develop where. May help somebody locate a business in the city, may help a property owner buy a house. You have some vacant property behind the house you're looking at, and look at the comprehensive plan, what's anticipated to go in there. It's probably not going to be vacant forever. The city uses it for a variety of things, the evaluation of development proposals, the foundation for more specific planning efforts. For example, we have our design standards, we have our Main Street plan. Those are really, this plan really makes the foundation for other more specific plans. It can be a foundation for neighborhood plans, things like that. Planning for future infrastructure improvements. Based on the future land use plans, a lot of time Public Works will take those plans and use those to base where they should put water treatment plants, where they should put city monies to provide infrastructure and streets. Also for grant support, a lot of grants will ask if a project is consistent with the comprehensive plan. A lot of times, if it's not, there's no even consideration on it. It's very important, especially with where I've run into it personally with transportation enhancement grants through KDOT. They definitely look for support through your comprehensive plans and other specific plans. Go over an overview of the plan. The first section is the introduction. That's basically what I went through already. Next section is the scope of the plan, talks about assumptions, general explanation of what goals, policies, and strategies are, and then it also talks about the maps. General plan overview section, it talks about key strategies of the plan, and then gives an overall description of the map categories. We have rural, urban residential, different medium, high, low density residential, commercial, industrial, all these different types of categories. There's a growth management section. There's a priority